When it comes to basic repairs, replacing a alternator, a water pump, everything I have here on this table is all I need. I'm just showing these as reference. These are standard or SAE wrenches. So if you're looking at sockets, wrenches, and it says SAE, SAE basically just means that it's standard, which is 5/8, 9/16, 1/2 inch, 3/4, and so on. In terms of my van, probably a lot of cars, almost everything you have here will be suitable. So I have an impact wrench because they're really, really useful to have. I got this from Harbor Freight. It was on sale. This is the 3/8 version. This socket set is essentially everything that my vehicle needs. I have a 15mm socket. I probably have more than one. I have another 15mm. I have a 14mm and a 13mm. 13mm and 10mm is going to be the most common sizes. As far as long and short, you're probably going to run into situations where long is too long and you're not going to be able to get into certain places. So mostly everything on my vehicle I can do like this with a long. So if you have a long bolt with a nut on it and a short socket, it's just not going to do that, right? Because that bolt is going to get in the way like so. That's when you would ideally have long sockets most of the time. We have a socket wrench, or a ratchet as I call it. We have sockets. These are sockets. These are long or deep sockets. These a short or shallow socket. We got all types. If they're black like this, they are, made a little bit more durable. They got thicker walls. They're used more for an impact situation, so not to break the socket. This one is not black like that. That one's just painted. It comes with a painted set like this. Makes it handy. If you're using them a lot, your brain is going to say, I need the blue one as opposed to the 10mm, or I need the yellow one, so on. Or gold, I guess. In this little pouch, love these guys. I have them for everything. What these are normally used for, contractors, to put in paper, documents of that type, to protect documents. I do use one for documents. However, I use it mostly for this. They're extremely super durable. They're very, very strong. It's just not gonna break. In here I have all my open end or box wrenches. Again, this is a standard. I don't use standard, but otherwise everything in here is going to be metric. If it's not standard, it's metric. Again, I was just showing these as reference. Not gonna use them. 15mm I need. 7mm is a little more specialty for certain tiny things. 17mm I will use, not regularly. So 15mm, we got 16mm, 12mm, 16, 14, 9. What I am missing from here is a 13mm. So we have another 14 and we have a 10. 10 is a huge, huge number in terms of how commonly used a 10mm wrench and or socket are used. There's memes all over the internet about 10mm, people losing 10mm sockets. Every time I think about it, if I'm in a Home Depot, Harbor Freight, or anything like that, I grab another 10mm just because. They're extremely important. So 10mm and 13mm for me are going to be probably the most common nut and or bolt sizes. I can break down the side of the road. I can solve most problems with my van breaking down, major repairs, anything like that, just with this table. Impact wrench makes your life extremely easy, like very, very, very easy. And I'm missing one essential tool. So we talked open end wrenches, aka box wrenches, a must-have. But again, I don't need a whole giant kit. This is everything I would need in that bag. And of course we have these nice extendable ratchets, or a socket wrench. I call it a ratchet. I'll always call it a ratchet. It has 1/4 inch on one side, 3/8 on the other. Just super handy, you know, because in case you're dealing with smaller things or it's a tight space or whatever it is, you know, 1/4 inch can come in handy. But most of the time, you should be able to get away with your long and short sockets having that variable size, like a 13 or a 10 millimeter long and a 10 millimeter short, a 13 millimeter long, a 13 millimeter short. But again, they're cheap. I grab them. Extension gives you more leverage. Then it can, you know, fall down to just a normal size. Essential. It's nice. You don't have to have two. As far as things that make your life easier, this is an electronic or electric ratchet wrench, right, or a socket wrench. So instead of doing this, right, manually, you can just pop your sockets on here and just let the tool do the work for you. I bought this about, I don't know, say 2.5 years ago, and it's been through it. I can tell you that. Chemo is a brand that you're gonna find on. It's an off-brand that you're gonna find on Amazon. I bought this on Amazon. I don't know how much it was, somewhere between 60 and 80. It does come with a case, comes with 2 batteries and the charger. This does have a little metal lever over it for squeezing the trigger, but I broke it, so just gotta push the button. Absolutely, to me, this is essential. I wouldn't want to do like a project where I'm manually just kind of ratcheting everything all day long and taking out an alternator or, oh man, if my water pump failed, it would be a huge little project, and I wouldn't want to have to manually do all those bolts. So again, more sockets, 15 millimeter. It's rare that I'm ever going to grab that 15 millimeter and use it. Again, another 13 millimeter. I'll just throw it on here because essential. So these are all the sockets I need to take my vehicle apart. Major repairs are right here in my hand. Like I said before, there might be a situation where a shallow socket might be more beneficial than a long one, getting into tight spaces. But for the most part, if I only had this and I only had this is all I had, an extension, maybe a shallow extension right here, and I had to manually work on my vehicle, I would be fairly happy about having this. This is great for helping you pry things apart, like an alternator. You know, you got the bolts out and now you just got to kind of free the alternator from its place, or a water pump you'd have to do that with. An intake manifold, you would definitely need one of these. There's a lot of functions for something like this. I do have a much longer one. Again, another Harbor Freight product. I don't have an issue. Make sure you have your tire puncture fixie thingies. So that is essential. Your extensions are essential. Again, I mentioned this is for my brakes, to do my front brake pads. I have drums in the back, so brake shoes, which don't fade or wear out nearly as much as a front brake pad. So that's it. I gotta do brake pads. I got the tool for that. As far as taking off my rims, it's a 3/4 socket, and I have my impact to do that. So, you know, this impact was nice. It comes with 1 battery, which is, whatever. It does come with a charger, comes with a case. I used to keep it in the case all the time, sitting in the back of my van, nice and organized, and then I'm like, that's just a waste of space. So, in that bag, we even have a little tool to take apart drum brakes. But most of you, if it's a newer vehicle, you're never gonna see drum brakes. Let's talk about the other really essential, moving on. Other really essential tools are right here. A multimeter is going to allow you to check the voltage of your battery, instead of just assuming your battery's dead, or you turn the key and everything's black. I mean, first thing you'd probably want to know is, do I have voltage, right? Connect the black to the negative terminal, connect the red to the positive terminal on your battery, and then you get a reading that shows you. I'll make another whole video just about testers, because I do use them a lot. I'm fairly familiar with them, so, and I think it's important to have one. Now, Here's something that is very, very, very necessary in diagnosing problems with your vehicle, as far as electrical failures, things are not turning on, things are not working right. You need to know if they have electricity to them. This is a test light. I've been using a test light since 1988, literally. So a test light is a very, very simple tool. This one's broken. I do have another one. Oh, right here. It's a very, very simple tool. They both work the same way. Now, you can buy cheap test lights, like these are cheap, and you can buy some expensive ones that are even self-powered, so on. They'll have a different color. This just has a simple bulb in it. In this case, it's a regular halogen bulb. Your little alligator clip here is gonna basically clip onto a ground, which would be something metal with no paint on it. So now you're grounded. You would first test your test light by connecting it to the ground on your battery, and then, you know, touching the positive of the battery to this end here, to the point, and then this little light bulb will light up, which at that point tells you your tester is working. Now for me, I would use this primarily on the inside of my vehicle, but let's go take a look. All right, so here's my car battery. I just want to test my tester. Yes, that's a thing. I'm gonna test the tester. Ignore the coloring on my wires. This one's red, but it's the negative black side, just in case you're looking at that saying, why is that red? It's positive. No, that's just a cable I used. They didn't have black at the time when I replaced my negative cable. So here's your test light. You're gonna connect it to a ground source, and you come over here. I don't know how well you can see that lighting up. The little bulb lights up. That's the whole function of it. So now we know we have a good ground. Let's say we were gonna test, this is really pointy and it's really, really sharp. The number one reason for that is it allows you to stab through a wire to see if that wire is live. Not recommended, but it's something you can do. I'm not gonna have power here because there's no power feeding this because the vehicle is off, but this is my blower motor, you know, which blows air and gives you your heat and your air conditioning. Now, if this is running and the switch is on, the car was running, the switch is on, or just the ignition switch is on and the fan blower motor switch is on, high, low, whatever, and I come out here and I stab that wire, that light bulb should light up. It's telling me that I have voltage feeding the blower. So if the blower is not running with voltage running through it, that blower motor is no good. So that's the essential of a tester. It allows you to test things like you have 3 wires going into the mass airflow sensor, for example. I would have to look up on schematics, find out which wire is power, and then when the vehicle's running, I could put this inside the harness. All right, I could unplug it, and I could just test each individual one, knowing that, you know, say the power's on the yellow, for example. Well, the vehicle's running, I got no power on the yellow, so now I got a problem. Let's go look at fuses, let's go look at this. And you're gonna walk down that path. But I'm just, again, basics. See if you got battery, see if there's electricity running beyond the fuse. It'll tell you, so I know that fuse is good because it's connected to the battery on one side, it goes through the fuse, I got power here. So if I got power here, that means the fuse is good. If I stab this wire and I got power, and I stab this wire, I got no power, fuse is no good. Very simple, but it's an essential tool to have. Here we have a tester. This is probably one of the cheapest testers on the planet. I don't know where I got it. It was probably really cheap, so I just grabbed it just to have it. Black on the negative, red on the positive, and my battery's reading 12.57. So my battery's good. Again, basics of having a tester, especially if you do, you know, have house batteries and things of that nature, you know, deep cycles. It allows you to, you know, look at the battery voltage as opposed to looking at a battery monitor, or just opposed to guessing, right? You want to know if your batteries are dead or they're healthy. Well, this will tell you, 100% this will tell you, regardless of what a battery monitor says, or whether it's a Victron, a Renogy, or just a bootleg something. You can bypass all that, go directly to the battery, look at the voltage. Okay, voltage, it's fully charged. So I don't know why that thing isn't working, but now I gotta figure it out. These are essential in terms of electrical. These are essential in terms of mechanical, taking things apart. Your alternator, your starter, your water pump, your fans, your whatever it is you need to take apart. Very essential. And as you can see, I have this all sitting in one small little husky bag. That's all I need. Enjoyed? If so,